Hello, friends. I want to share the testimony about what God did when I had the COVID and how good He is. I wanted to share that today. So, back in 2021, in April of 2021, I came down with a sickness. I was doing a daily walk that I usually do with my friend, and as I was walking up the hill, I just got so exhausted I couldn't even walk anymore. I had to go lie down. And so when I went to lie down, I just was so tired. I didn't feel good, and I just stayed in the bed. I live alone, and so I cut off my phone because I didn't want anybody to call me and wake me up and disturb me. I just wanted to sleep. And my daughter every now and then would check in on me, and my friend would check in on me, and they'd say, "How are you doing?" And I'd say, "I'm doing better," because I was believed I was getting better. I was resting a lot, but I did have uh, diarrhea. I was had fever, and on the ninth day, my daughter came to the house and said, "Mom, get up. You're going to the doctor. I don't care what you say. If you won't get up, I'm going to call the ambulance." But that night I had coughed really bad, and I knew something was wrong, and I knew I needed to go to the doctor. But with the COVID going around, I was fearful that I had the COVID. I was not fearful, but concerned that I had the COVID. And I knew that another friend knew that there was a doctor that was giving the ivermectin and the hydroxychloroquine, and I wanted to go to that doctor because I didn't want to go to the hospital. People were coming out in body bags. They weren't getting healed. And I didn't want to get on a ventilator. I didn't want all that. But they found the doctor. He was in Dawsonville. His name's Dr. Gary Berliner, and he is awesome. And they drove me up there. I could hardly walk. They got a wheelchair to roll me in, and I was very, very weak. And when he checked me, I was dehydrated, I had fever, and I had double COVID pneumonia. And so apparently I was in critical condition. And the doctor was supposed to leave to only work half a day on Friday, but he stayed the whole time with me until I got stabilized. He put me on oxygen and gave me a shot, and I don't know what all he did, but he took my daughter aside and told her, "Your mom's in critical condition, and unless there's somebody who can look after her 24 hours around the clock, I'm going to have to send her to the emergency room." And Julie, who's my daughter, said, I'll agree. I'll look after Mom. We don't want her to go to the hospital." And so he made her sign a form stating that she was going to take care of me and give me 24-hour care. I didn't know this. I was in the other room on oxygen, but she told me this later, that I was so sick that he didn't want to send me home and not anybody be responsible for me. And so she signed the paper. They took me home. They ordered oxygen to be delivered to the house, and by the time I got home, the man was driving up with the oxygen, and they picked up some medicine on the way home at the pharmacy. It was ready when we got there. And then they put me on oxygen, and I didn't understand why I had the COVID, because I believe in healing. I pray for people to get healed, and I see them getting healed. I know my God, and I know He's a healer. And I didn't understand why in the world did I have the COVID? Did I do something wrong? I'd hung a red scarf on my front door claiming the blood of Jesus was covering my house and that we were protected from the COVID. But here I was with the COVID. So I asked the Lord, why do I have the COVID? What am I doing wrong? And He told me, wait on me. So I just waited, and it was a fight for my life, and I didn't even realize how serious I was. But the breathing was very, very difficult because of the pneumonia, and even with the oxygen that he was giving me, it was still very hard to absorb enough oxygen because my lungs were so contaminated or whatever. And so, anyhow, but a lot of things happened during that time when I had the COVID. I saw God's hand in a lot of things that happened. One of the people that took care of me was my ex-husband. Julie and my ex-husband, they took turns around the clock. And even though we're not married anymore, we're best friends. So he had come to take one shift and Julie took the other. Well, about the next, I think about 2 days later, after going to the doctor the first time, I had to go back the second time for him to check me. And when I got there, I couldn't believe how nice everybody was to me. They were all just doting on me and so nice. And I thought, wow, he's got the nicest staff here. Then I realized they didn't think I was going to be alive that time. They thought I would be dead. So everybody was surprised to see me. But anyhow, he changed the mask. The doctor changed the mask to give me more oxygen over my nose and my mouth. And so during the night, when I had that mask on during my sleep, I pulled it off. I don't remember doing it. I wasn't even conscious that I was doing it, but I pulled it off. And when my ex-husband came in and saw that I didn't have the mask on, the oxygen on, he started freaking out. He woke me up to put it back on me. And when he did, my oxygen had dropped so low and I was so weak and so tired. I said, I don't think I can do this anymore. Because I had been fighting so hard to do the breathing exercises and the inhaler to help the lungs and all that stuff. I just didn't think I could fight anymore. I was exhausted. And he's originally from India, so he wasn't raised as a Christian. But when I said that, he got on his hands and knees and he gave his life to Jesus. He repented for everything he'd ever done to me and to God. And he told me, don't worry, Marie, we're going to do this together. I'm here with you and we're going to fight this together. And when you get well, we're going to go get baptized together. And when I heard that, I was, wow, shocked, something I really wanted to happen that never happened the whole time we were married. But here he was giving his life to Jesus. And he said, we're going to minister together. And I thought, oh, wow, that's so good. So it gave me the will to fight some more. And I kept fighting. And I saw a man radically get changed and get born again in my bedroom on his knees when he thought that I was going to die. And so I realized that God took what the devil meant for evil to try to take me out with COVID, and he turned it around and for good and brought a son into the kingdom. So God is so good, and he's always orchestrating my steps. That's how come I don't ever have any fear, because I know who he is. I know how good he is and how much he loves us. And I trust him with all my heart. And so that ended up being just a miraculous thing that happened. And that's who my God is. That's who your God is. He's the God of the miracles. He's the God who can take the worst situation and make something good come out of it. Now, my fight didn't end that time. It didn't end that night. I had to fight for 9 months. I was on oxygen, fighting to recover because I was so weak and my lungs were so damaged from the COVID. It took us about, I think it was 4 months before we could go get baptized together. We went to Christ Fellowship Church and both got baptized together. But I had to go in a wheelchair because I wasn't strong enough to walk that distance. But anyhow, shortly after that happened, a few days later, my friend came to see me and she brought me some soup that she'd made because I still couldn't cook. I just couldn't stand up long. And when she brought it, she said, I just left the chiropractor. I've had trouble with my neck. My neck just won't get healed. It just hurts all the time. They can't seem to get it adjusted right ever since I had a wreck. And so I called my ex-husband in and I said, you need to come pray for Tammy. I said, she's got pain in her neck and she needs healing. Well, he had never prayed for anybody for healing. He'd seen me do it, but he had never prayed for anybody himself. But he just went right up to it and prayed for her for healing. And just like that, all the pain left. That's how good God is. That's how good God is. When you just are obedient and you surrender to him, he can use you. You don't have to do anything yourself. You're just letting him use you through your words, through the things you say. And he even gives you the words to say. A lot of times I don't even know what I'm supposed to be praying for, but he will give me the words to say if I just open my mouth. Same goes for you. So anyhow, let's see, during that time when I had the COVID, there were several things that happened that I could see God's hand in it. It's like he can just take the worst thing and make such amazing things happen. And one of the times when my oxygen was low and my daughter was rubbing my feet and she was praying to try to get the oxygen back up and was praying and just rubbing my feet to try to get things moving. And I don't know, it seemed like it helped when they rubbed my feet. But all of a sudden she said, Mama, something just touched my arm. And I had the oximeter, that little meter you put on your finger that registers what your oxygen level is. I had that on my finger, and it was like in the high 80s. And when she said, something just touched my arm, I said, oh, it was an angel. And as soon as I said that, that oximeter shot up to 99, just like that. So God was with me the whole time. He sent the angels to watch over me and to walk through that with me. And he's so, so good. He's amazing, the things he does. He's just so good. Then another time, when I had the COVID, the machine started acting up, the oxygen machine, and it started beeping. Well, I didn't know what was wrong, what was going on, but I knew I needed that oxygen. So I called the people who supplied the equipment and told them it was beeping. And they said, well, we can send a technician out, but it would be, I think it was like next week. And I'm like, oh my goodness. I said, not till next week? And she said, yeah. So then I start getting worried. And then I said, is there anybody there I can talk to that could kind of walk me through what could be the problem? That maybe we could do something on this end? And so then she said, you know what? I'll just send somebody out there today. So she sent this nice young man out to look at my machine. And when he came, I was just so grateful that he would come and just so thankful to him, because here he is in a field where he has to go in people's homes that are sick and get exposed to all kinds of germs to work on those machines. And so I was telling him how thankful I was that he came, that he was taking a risk every time he went into a patient's house, that he would catch something, and I appreciated him coming. And he said, well, you know what? I do have to be very careful because I have a son that was born prematurely, and I have to be very careful when I get home. I have to take off all my clothes and take a shower before I can even go near him. And I thought, oh my goodness, and here he is in that field and taking that risk. So I asked him if I could pray for him, and he said, absolutely. And so anyhow, my ex-husband was in the room with me too, so we joined hands and we prayed for him, that God would bless him and bless his son and keep him safe and whatever else Holy Spirit said to do. And when I got finished praying, he just gave me the biggest hug, and he had these tears running down his face, and he said, you know, I have a Bible in my home, but I haven't even paid it any attention. He said, my neighbor's been asking me to go to church with him, and I think I'm going to go to church with him this Sunday. So we never know what people are going through, the things they're experiencing, and how important it is as Christians that we should take time to pray for people and to have compassion for people and be thankful for them. So those were just two of the many things that happened when I had the COVID I wanted to share. And I just want to encourage you, to let you know, If something looks really, really bad, it looks horrible, and you think, oh, this end of the world, or I just can't go on anymore, remember who our God is. He's the God of the impossible. He's the God who knows the end from the beginning. He's the God who knows how to take what the enemy means for evil and turn it around for good. So I just encourage you, when your things aren't going good, call on him, because he said he'd never leave us or forsake us, and you can always trust him because he's faithful. Thank you for listening. I hope you have a great day.